Welcome to Module 3 of District 7080's Foundation Qualification Training. In this module, we will cover the types of grants that are available and the differences between those grants. Then we'll zero in on the information about district grant projects. Please also refer to the links to the resource page and the knowledge check quiz for this module. First, let's take a look at the differences between district and global grants. These are the two most commonly used grants. District grants are shorter term, less than 1 year, and help fund smaller projects, while global grants are longer term, 1 to 3 years or more, and help fund larger projects. District grant projects can receive a district match of between $2,000 and $6,500 Canadian. There is no longer a minimum for global grants, but the minimum value of a project must be at least $30,000 US. Additionally, district grants are always funded in Canadian dollars, while global grants are funded in US. District grants can be used for local and international projects, while global grants are most commonly used for international projects. They can, however, be used to fund local projects if there is an international sponsor from outside of the project country, or in our case, from outside of Canada. District grant applications must be submitted by March 15th each year, but global grant applications can be submitted at any time during the year as they have a rolling timeline. There is no requirements for a host club to be involved in a district grant project, while a global grant project requires 2 clubs, a host and an international sponsor. Project sustainability is not a grant requirement for a district grant, even though it has been added to the district grant application in Club Runner. However, sustainability is a mandatory requirement for all global grants. District grants must align with the Rotary's Foundation mission, which we'll cover in this module, while global grants must align with at least one of the Rotary's Foundation 7 areas of focus. This will be covered in Module 4. And finally, district grants are administered by our district, whereas global grants are administered by the Rotary Foundation. There is another type of grant called Scale Grant, which is intended to increase Rotary's impact by providing measurable and sustainable solutions to issues affecting many people in a large geographical area. Every year, the Rotary Foundation awards $2 million US to a large-scale, high-impact program that aligns with one or more of Rotary's areas of focus. For example, eradication of malaria in a country. This grant provides long-term resources that will support project activities for 3 to 5 years. Our district has also participated in 2 disaster response grants. The first was for our district to support COVID relief, and the second allowed us to provide disaster relief to the Ukraine. Generally, these grants are available to districts that have been affected by disasters in their own district to support recovery efforts. However, for a limited time, exceptions were made by the Rotary Foundation to provide disaster relief funds to the Ukraine and Pakistan. Districts can apply for a maximum of $25,000 US, and like all grants, are based on the availability of funds. Once the final report for a disaster response grant has been approved by the Rotary Foundation, the district governor or the District Relief Foundation director can reapply for another grant. The Rotary Foundation can change the grant requirements. Recently, they have allowed any district to apply for a $25,000 U.S. disaster response grant to be used to support Ukraine recovery efforts and to help with the Pakistan floods. For limited periods of time, donations can also be allocated to specific disasters. Links for more information can be found on the resources page for this module. Now let's take a look at district grants in more detail. In a previous slide, we explained the differences between district and global grants. There are a couple other important areas that we should cover. Clubs sometimes ask, how many district grants can a club apply for in a single Rotary year? As mentioned, the maximum district grant per club per year is $6,500 Canadian. Because the minimum grant is $2,000 Canadian, a club can apply for up to 3 grant matches. That is 2 grants of $2,000 Canadian each and 1 grant of $2,500 Canadian. Another common question is why clubs cannot continue with the same or a similar project in subsequent years. There are a couple of reasons. Firstly, we're responsible for ensuring fairness when sharing grant funds. As we explained in Module 2, our available funding is dependent on how much our District 7080 members have contributed to the annual fund 3 years earlier. So it's not a bottomless pit, and the amount of available funding varies from every year. Secondly, the Rotary Foundation Terms and Condition document states that district and global grants should not provide continuous or excessive support to any one person, entity, or community. For these reasons, district grant projects should generally be considered as a one-off or initial support for a community project. However, after careful consideration, the Foundation Committee reviewed this policy, and effective February 2023, clubs may repeat a similar previous district grant project that has the same beneficiary, provided that there are 3 complete Rotary years between the time that the initial project was completed and the Rotary year that the new application is submitted. An example would be if a district grant project is implemented and completed in the 2023-2024 Rotary year, a repeat project for the same beneficiary or project cannot be submitted until the 2027-28 Rotary year for implementation and completion in the following Rotary year, 2028-2029. So how can applying for a district grant help your club? Well, you just have to do the math. District will match $1 of district designated funds for every $1 of club cash, with a minimum district grant match of $2,000 and a maximum of $6,500 Canadian. This example shows the minimum project value of $4,000 Canadian, where a club contributes $2,000 and the district matches with $2,000. The next example shows a maximum dollar-for-dollar match of $6,500 with the total project value of $13,000. It is possible that a club might want to implement a larger project, in which case a club can contribute as much money as they want, but the maximum district match will still be $6,500. Clubs are required to provide the total funding upfront for the project. Once clubs have submitted their final report and it's been approved by district, the check will be issued and the club will be reimbursed for the grant funds. Using Canadian dollars for all district grant projects was a recommendation from our District 7080 Foundation Assessment Committee to eliminate currency exchange issues. Because our reports to the Rotary Foundation are required in US dollars, we will perform all the conversions when we submit them. An important reminder when completing your district grant project application, please make sure the costs for expected expenses are entered in the currency in which the expenses will be paid. If the project will be sourced in Canada, you will use Canadian dollars. This example is for a project in Nairobi, Kenya, and is using 3 currencies, US dollars, Kenyan shillings, and euros in the local amount, currency, and tax columns. The foreign currency will need to be converted to Canadian dollars using the Rotary International Exchange Rate link that is shown on the screen. This link can also be found on the resources page for Module 3. If the currency is not listed on the RI exchange rate site, then use the current banking exchange rate for the foreign currency, which you can find on Google. The total column will show the sum of the foreign currency amounts for the local amount plus the tax columns, which is the amount that you will convert to Canadian dollars. This amount will then be entered into the final column, which will ensure that the application is submitted in Canadian dollars. The final total amount column should also be in Canadian dollars. If the local currency is Canadian, then the amount in the total column and the final amount column will be the same. District grant projects must align with the Rotary Foundation's mission. The Rotary Foundation helps Rotary members to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, improving the environment, and alleviating poverty. This mission is quite broad in scope and allows a generous amount of flexibility for both local and international projects. First, your club needs to come up with a project idea that can be implemented in the next Rotary year. We recommend that this is an agenda item to be discussed early in the Rotary year, probably late summer or early fall, making sure that there is a community need that is important. Work with community partners who will help with the planning and implementation to ensure your project is successful. Remember, your project must be implemented and completed within the next Rotary year. It will probably be started August and will be fully completed with the final report filed by June 15th. Work on your budget and obtain the necessary estimates. Make sure your club is qualified for the year you are submitting the application. Check Module 1 for information on qualification requirements. Then complete the online district grant application. To access the application for your district grant project, go to the district website and log in. Click on the member area and then click on Grants. Next, click on Submit a Grant Request. This will bring you to the first page of the grant application. More detailed instructions can be found on the Foundation Committee's Documents and Resources page. A recording of the January 2023 Understanding DISC Grant Application and Report Writing can also be found there. When completing the online application, be sure to read the instructions posted on each page. A reminder to make sure your district grant application is completed and submitted by March 15th. After March 15th, the District Grant Review Committee will review all applications and, if necessary, will contact your club for missing information or clarification. The committee will then approve applications in principle and will notify the primary sponsor of the in-principle district approval. It's important to remember that clubs must not start their projects or spend any money at this point. They must wait until we have received final approval from the Rotary Foundation. Projects are then added to the district's spend plan and submitted to the Rotary Foundation for final approval. Once we receive the Rotary Foundation's approval, usually in August, district will notify clubs by email and projects can be started. Once the project has been completed, you will complete and submit the final report, and once that has been approved, district will issue your grant check and send their final report to the Rotary Foundation. A few important reminders. The sooner you complete your project and submit your final report for approval, the better. The final report submission deadline is June 15th each year. If you miss that deadline, the grant funds will be returned to the Rotary Foundation and you will not be reimbursed. This is important as we must submit our final report to the Rotary Foundation, including any unused funds, before the Rotary Foundation will release the following year's grant funds. If we are late submitting our report, it will delay all clubs from starting their next year's project. Remember to enter your final report into the grant application in Club Runner. Do not send us a separate report or an email containing this information. Always include official receipts, and if you include invoices, they must be marked as paid. Upload a photo of your finished project or a congratulatory letter as proof of completion. And finally, ensure all amounts are reported in Canadian dollars. We ask that if you know that your project will not move forward, or if your project changes in any way, please let us know. We will notify the Rotary Foundation, request their approval for the change, and get back to you. Do not spend any further funds or do any further work until you've received approval. If it happens that we receive too many applications but have insufficient funds to match dollar for dollar, in other words, district grant requests are oversubscribed, projects requesting the minimum grant of $2,000 Canadian will be fully funded. All others will be funded by an equal prorated percentage until the available funds are exhausted. This has only happened once since 2013, and the prorated percentage at that time was 88%. A final reminder. For district grant applications and reports, use the district website. District grants are requested and submitted in Canadian dollars. District grant project applications must be submitted by March 15th each year. District grant final reports must be submitted by June 15th each year. An excellent resource to help you with your district grant projects is the Terms and Conditions for Rotary Foundation District Grants document. And the best place to ensure that you have the most recent copy is from the Resources tab in the My Rotary Grant Center. Always check the version date at the bottom of the first page. The second must-read reference tool is the District 7080 Financial Management Plan that contains our district's updated foundation policies and procedures and the role of the District 7080 Foundation Assessment Committee. This can be found on the Foundation Committee's Document Resources page on the District 7080 website in Club Runner. Thank you for completing the District 7080 Foundation Qualification Training, Module 3, Grant Types and District Grant Projects. Please refer to the Resources page for Module 3 and complete the Knowledge Check before moving to Module 4 on Global Grants.